What do you think? Did it happen?
Recorded.
Oh, yeah.
It says it.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Hey, welcome to another Corner Conversation. Today we are continuing our process walking through Second Kings. We've been in it for quite a while, but this is week number 8, and we're looking at Second Kings 11 and 12, or more clearly stated, we're looking at Second Chronicles 24.
Because the stories in Second Kings don't do.
Well, they're different.
Yep.
Because the stories.
Yeah, so-
I
so-
like
That conversation, like, why are they different?
that
Yeah,
conversation.
so-
Like, why are they
Second
different?
Kings, specifically here, these two chapters are this narrative of the preservation of David's line. And to some degree, maybe this is too strong, but like, I don't know if you've ever had a moment where you're invited to look at somebody else's family tree, or
Yeah.
sometimes, well, I felt reading forward to our next week when it's chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, when it's just names, these king after king and son of and all this stuff. Sometimes when you hear a bunch of names of people you don't know,
Yeah.
you try to
Doesn't mean a whole lot.
be polite. We should be polite.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know Aunt Sylvia, and it's great.
Poor Aunt
Yeah, I know.
Sylvia.
But it's about Second Kings 11 and 12 is about this preservation of David's line, which is important because that's what God promised would happen. And then, but Second Chronicles 24 is more about what actually was happening with those people. And on theme, the kings are not doing so great, which is part of the whole point. If you zoom out to the largest perspective, maybe not largest is a strong word, but zoom out to a larger perspective, the Israelites, they said, "We want a king." The prophet said, "You don't really want a king. We want a king." Then the word given to them was, "Listen, a king will send your children to war, will take taxes, will take your possessions. You don't let the Lord be your God, be your king. We want a king. Like everybody else has a king, we want a king." And said, "Okay." There's some theology in that God gave the people what they requested. Saul was anointed as the first king.
That went well.
For about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It started out really good. And then all of a sudden, again, the twist of that narrative is that Saul was given clear directions what to do when he went to war, which is war is so complicated in these texts, but and he was told to destroy everything and not to loot or take. And the prophet comes, and there are cows mooing in the background. And the prophet says, "What did you follow the instructions?" "Sure, we did." And then says, "Well, what about those cows?" "Oh, we're going to offer those as sacrifices to God."
Hit the best stuff for God.
Yeah. And
Listening was what the goal was. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
yeah. And so the thing in that text, that narrative, that was a turning point. Moving from obedience to following this king who a king wasn't perfect. And this isn't necessarily a condemnation on people that aren't perfect. But again, who are you going to follow? Are you going to follow God and his perfection, his perfect love, his perfect care, his perfect sacrifice? Or are we going to follow a king who's imperfect? And so fast forwarding in this, David wasn't perfect. His son Solomon, the wisest ever, right, was not perfect. And then when First Kings, when Solomon dies, then the spiral really just explodes. The nations are divided into two, and there is this increasing rapid fire of kings, and their failures are. Their my chart is put onto the screen, onto the page. Their edited history is like, as time passes, it's very easy to go, "They were great. It's fine. They were okay." But that's not what happens here. And so that's, as we come to Second Kings 11 and 12, as Second Chronicles 22 through 24, really focusing on 24. The failure of the king is not omitted from the story.
I think that, and then like how long after Solomon was the line of Ahab? Because the story just before this, they basically destroyed the whole line of Ahab
Yeah,
and his sons.
was that the 80? No, was that the 600? I can't remember what those. I remember we had that written down last week, but time is definitely
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Because like these stories go over such long.
Yeah.
I mean, they're collections of stories. Some of them are zoomed in and you see a story of Elisha and he repeats in a few chapters, but
Oh, it
lot
was
of
90,
these-
like 60 to 90 years, I think was
yeah.
that where we're at in
Okay.
that. Yeah. So
Okay. That's not as long as I thought. Okay.
because the lineage of the prophet. So it was Elijah was there, and now
Yeah.
Elisha is there.
Yeah.
And next week, as we go to the
Yeah. Okay.
16, 17, 18 of Second Kings, Elisha will finally die.
Finally. No.
Is that the word?
Why?
Finally? I'm not, yeah.
I don't know.
Elisha
Finally feels
dies.
intense, but yeah. But so they just got rid of Ahab, and this is what comes out of
Yeah.
that. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it's part of that. The power of repetition is that there is clearly, it says in First Kings, Ahab was the worst, and he was shown grace. And then now, as we continue king after king after king, some do okay, but then there is relative doing well, which is interesting. They say, so and so, the son of so and so, was the king and did good in the eyes of the Lord. Except there's this recurring, especially for Judah.
Yeah.
It's said probably a dozen times that, which very rarely does it for Israel, the northern kingdom, does it say did good in the eyes of the Lord. That Israel is having a rougher track record. Judah is having some good moments, but again, it's relative. They still kept worshiping these false gods in high places.
Yeah.
Relative holiness.
Relative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I think that's actually beautiful in the narrative because it's not, we're not called to emulate these people,
Yeah.
but God is consistent. And so to see God being gracious to those that are all right,
Mhm.
and also for God not to just smite or just completely eliminate Israel specifically, to remove Israel because they were a train wreck. God's grace is consistent, and the kings weren't the answer. And so again, zoomed out, this is pointing towards the need for a Messiah. I don't know if you've ever had a moment. None of us have ever had a moment where you just go, "This is all so broken."
Hmm. Maybe this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I in a more superficial way, but like I think of moments when you, as a homeowner, and something breaks. I'm thinking even very minor things, but like when our washer wasn't working, had a mechanical problem. Those are moments this spring where you just go, like, who's going to fix this? Who's going to take care of this? It's the moment when you spill something on the floor and you just go, I mean, is somebody else going to swoop in and do, like, I have responsibility.
I have to clean up this mess.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then there are, more intense, like, family or real moments where you just go, like, this is really complicated, and I don't see there's no, like, not even like a quick fix. Like, there is no fix. Those are heavy moments, and that's what this repetition in Kings is going. Hey, are you convinced yet that this is a mess? Hey, are you convinced yet are you convinced yet that these kings aren't going to be the answer? And like, it's supposed to like hit our gut where we go, oh, there needs to be something, and that's pointing towards, again, a Messiah,
Yeah.
who's Jesus.
I was just thinking about, like, while you're talking, I was thinking about like a little bit, I mean, this is maybe a little off topic, but on topic, a little bit of like why Second Kings has to like show the Davidic line because there's that promise of the Messiah, and it has to like restore that to back to Judah and back to Israel. Like this is an important part of the future. Like this has to happen for long term, like the story. Like this is what leads to Jesus. And then we see Second Chronicles, and in the middle of all of this, it's still a mess. Like they preserve the Davidic line, but it's a mess. And you see it over and over again in the Old Testament. Like, you know, like there's stories about Rahab. Is that Rahab? Is that the right one? Like that was a mess. Like things were messy. And like over and over again, that's one thing I love about the genealogy in the New Testament is when it gives a list of how to Jesus, how Jesus is part of the Davidic line. And like you see people in that you go, that shouldn't be, they should not be a part of this story. This is way too messy. It's not even just like small moral failures. Like these are large, even David. I mean, not even David. David started with like one of the biggest moral
which
failures
then,
of all of them.
and from that Solomon.
Yes, yes. And all of these moral failures over and over again, and still like Jesus is at the end of it. And I think like the story, I mean, just understanding how important it is to see really messy people in that line. And going back to Chronicles, how important it is to remember what Jesus has done, what God has done, and what Jesus has done. Because one thing I love in the Old Testament is over and over again, you see these altars being built, or you see these memorials being built, or put this rock here to remember what God has done. And it's really easy, and like tell your kids and pass it on. And it's really easy to not tell those stories. Like just life gets busy and you keep moving, and all of a sudden you forget tell the stories. Like you might not have even forgotten what he's done, but like it's in the back of your mind. Like it's not what's guiding you and leading you. But here we are reminded how important it is to remember what God has done and what he is doing, because it's life is busy. Like Peter, like we talk about Peter a little bit and how quickly he forgot. Like he was told, like, I mean, he believed Jesus was the Messiah. He loved Jesus, the way he talked about Jesus. He loved him, all these things. And still he so quickly forgot that he was going to deny him, even though he was told he was gonna. He forgot because it was chaos.
And to hear so Jesus's declaration to Peter, before dawn tomorrow, you're going to deny me 3 times. That wasn't like a condemnation on him. It wasn't like, I'm cursing you to deny me, or I'm causing you to deny me. It's like this was a Jesus observation moment. I'm just going, Peter, you are very zealous, but how it's so easy to lose focus or forget or to become insecure or to flail about. And so it wasn't this shame on you. It's like, hey, it's actually as you are the rock, Peter, you're this rock. Just you have to remember that there's humility has got to come with that, and squashing down your pride and not being distracted has to come with that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's intention that has to be a part of the story, because it is really easy to just be a part of the day-to-day living in our modern context. Like I like something I've been thinking a lot about lately is just really having some better like schedule. We talked about this every week. And then things happen and life blows up a little bit. But like, how do you like intentionally saying, okay, like as my husband and I, like, we need to have while we're kind of navigating big things, we really need to have some time together where we're praying over our family and praying over church and praying over our community, and like scheduling that, like really actually scheduling it to remember what God is doing, and not like I pray a lot in my car, right? Or I pray a lot because I drive a lot.
Going on a drive.
Yeah, going on a drive, driving from one coffee shop to another, dropping kids off at some program, whatever. I drive a lot. And I spend a lot of time praying in the car, but it feels, and it's important, like that is
Yeah.
life. And like, how do you really have a set schedule that says, okay, I need to do I not just need to drive and pray when I'm driving back and forth, but like I need to remember what God has done, what He's doing. I need to have some intentionality in these moments because life does get really busy and it happens. Like it happens where you keep going and you forget to
Mhm.
remember, you know? I mean, it sounds weird, but you know what I
Yep.
mean?
And that's the theme that we see over and over again is getting it done like 95%. And then we just kind of go, well, I'm overwhelmed or forget. But, the irony is all these kings were, doing it 90, 95%. And that's what happened when they tried to eliminate
Yeah.
the line of Ahab. They
Yeah.
got it done 95%,
Yeah.
except for this one kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that sets up the whole narrative that, that Jesus is the one that completes that.
Yeah.
And he can work through that. And yeah, it's a messy line. The Davidic line is a messy
Yeah.
line. And if the Davidic line were perfect, we'd be like,
Yeah.
can't touch it.
Yeah.
But we get to see how even God can use
Yeah.
messy people, and that's
Yeah.
so powerful because yeah, when we look at Peter, we go, I couldn't, but the guy was like, when in doubt, speak.
Yeah.
Just did that, and and in his denial, we're going, okay, yeah, he had a lot of good things, but he had some
Yeah.
real problems, and
Yeah.
that keeps it accessible
Hmm.
Yeah.
for
I need the
us.
reminder.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, yeah. I think too this story. So like I feel like we talked about this a little bit, but when we're talking about the story this week, Joash, right? Is it Joash was hidden in the temple?
Yeah.
And then by the prophet.
Yeah. So Athela.
I know, Atalia,
Okay.
Athalia. I
Yeah.
don't know.
This is the mother of Ahaziah. So the king was killed,
Yeah.
removed, and all of a sudden his mom swoops in and claims the throne.
Yeah.
Joash, who was a baby,
Yeah.
baby.
And he's part of the
He's
Davidic
part of the
line, right?
Davidic line, and so this is what we do see in 2 Kings chapter 11, is that he's the heir to the throne, and there's one thing that's complicated in that is that he was a baby. And so in some of that ambiguity, some of that tension, Athaliah, she again claims the throne, and then to build stability in her own power, she wants to remove Joash, not just remove, kill him, kill this baby.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of it is that Joash is brought to the temple, and Ahaziah, no, that's the priest.
Jehoiada,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know if I'm
Jehoiada was the priest, and so he takes this baby in and protects him, keeps him hidden from this queen, and so which is beautiful. That's part of Joash's narrative, part of his
Yeah.
story, is that he could have not made it past being a baby, and now he is growing as a boy, and then just it becomes it's crazy, it's remarkable, whatever it is. But when Joash was 7 years old, it was 6 years of being hiding in the temple, so 7 years old, all of a sudden the priest. Like little boy playing in the temple, hiding out, oil is poured over his head by the priest and says, "This is the king." And they started the chant, "Long live the king!" And so I'm just trying to think if you know any 7-year-olds. So crazy, and it points this weird part of the narrative, kind of hard for our maybe our outside of context experiences. Is like the king was this little boy was like leaning against this pillar like kings do. And they're chanting, "Long live the king!" And the this queen is incredibly upset and wants to, tries to throw a coup from this newly appointed child king, and but she's killed, and Joash is now king as a young child, but now we're going to fast forward in Second Chronicles chapter 24 to when all of a sudden he is king as an adult.
Yeah.
And so just remembering this. So the priest
Raised him.
Raised
right?
him.
He raised him.
Yep. There's also some assumption that even after his anointing as king, that his life changed, but his connection still to the temple, to the family that raised him, continued on even after that point.
Yeah. And he was raised in the temple. So it was like this priest raised him, and he was also raised in like all the faith traditions that were happening in the temple.
Yep. And so we fast forward to he's an adult as king, and as kings do in First and Second Kings, he has a moment of turning away from God, and Jehoiada, he dies as the priest. So basically, like his adopted dad. That could be strong cultural words, but to a degree.
I mean, definitely had relevance in his life, no matter what. Like there was a relationship there, a deep relationship.
Yep. And so his son, Zechariah, who is now the next priest, by direction of God, by the Spirit, he comes to Joash and says, again, like a brother, shared dad, all these things, says, hey, why have you turned from God? Why are you disobeying? Why this is not going to work out good for you? You've forsaken God. This is a moment to turn back. And
he had a choice.
There was a choice.
He had a choice.
For sure. Joash had a choice. But then it says so clearly in the text that says, King Joash did not remember the kindness of Zechariah's father, Jehoiada. And so
who saved his life, raised him, cared for him, built his temple relationship. He was a great prophet, they said. Like, there's some prophets in the Old Testament, they're like, he was mid, like they aren't as, but with him, it was like, so I feel like his story, at least what we see, is good. Like the prophet did good things and cared, like this was not a bad, I mean, he at least had good things happening in his life, and he just
and Joash, he plotted against Zechariah to have him stoned to death.
Stoned to death, yes.
For God.
This was his brother.
His brother.
I'm sure he went into, when Zechariah was getting ready, he was like, I got to say some hard things.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it to my brother.
Yeah.
Who I grew up with.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we may have some difficult moments.
Yeah.
But it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. And so like the thing that, again, we're really resting on this week in the processing of this text is that how radically important it is to remember and how incredibly easy it is to forget.
Yeah.
And we're going to have lengths of string on all of the tables, and Gorman, you think that this is going to cause torment for the people as you don't tell why those are sitting there, like those things. But that is and maybe that's completely gone to somebody who's in their 20s right now, the tying a string to your finger. I don't know if people even.
I think this is like perfect for that because.
But I mean, do you think 20-year-olds have ever heard?
They might not get it.
Like, is there an app for that?
No.
Yeah.
And reminder app. There might be some reminder apps. Yeah.
If I want, kind of been a theme in Second Kings, the question has been, how will you persist? And it's something that I've felt repeatedly in all of this, our study going through Second Kings is like, oh, this is a skill set that I really I want to be good at. You know, I want to have a great
Yeah.
skill set of turning to God, and not turning to other gods. I want to have a great skill set of being persistent and being discipled. I want to have a great skill set in turning to God early as opposed to late. I want to have a great skill set in being faithful. And so you just kind of go through the text skill set. And then here, the skill set is how will I persist? I want to persist in remembering things the important things.
Yeah.
And again, like you go to that Peter narrative when Jesus was arrested, before he was arrested, Last Supper, he says, "You're going to deny me 3 times." Jesus is arrested and taken away. Peter follows, and he denies knowing Jesus to kind of 3 insignificant people. And that's not a throw Peter under the bus moment. It's a moment of going, oh yeah, I'm like Peter in this narrative that for insignificant things, I quickly forget the important things. And so as we tie a string on our finger to help us remember, I think it's to let people in our community go, not just, I mean, there are some general things that are good to just like be on the screen. Hey, remember these things, but really in this moment, what do you need to remember? And to really have like a spirit-led, prayerful self-examination, hear from God moment of like, hey, don't forget that.
Yeah.
And what a great skill to be able to hold on to that.
I agree. I think that I feel like that's one of those things when things are complicated. When life is, I mean, life feels a little complicated for me at the moment. Like there's just some things.
Yeah.
And like just a reminder of why God asked you to do the things you do. Why God, moments in the past where things felt like they weren't going well and God intervened, or when like there was a promise he made that either came true or at least pulled you through. Or even like I always think of like when I moved to Washington, like that was I was 25 and that was a hard season for me. And feeling afterwards that whole truth of like God works everything together for the good of those who love him.
Yeah.
And really feeling like, wow, like that had to be part of my story. Like maybe there were things that weren't great and maybe there were things that were hard, but without that part of my story, I don't think it was a choice, right?
Yeah.
I was definitely in a place where choices could be made. And because of moving to Washington and, making that choice, like I, that was a very important moment for me. Like my life would be very different without that. And who knows? I don't even want to know.
Remember.
But like like those moments where you go, okay, everything feels really broken and messy and like this doesn't make sense. And without this, I wouldn't be who I am. Like that's important.
And two, what we really spend time remembering and basing our life on is what anchors us a lot of times. I don't know how many times I've, gone on stage and I'm going, I can't remember a dang thing. And I go out and then it kicks in. It just kicks in and it just takes me along for the ride. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, because I've spent time working it and so when the stress happens, then the muscle memory kicks in.
Yeah.
And when we do that with God, we if we've done that well, then we get into these stressful situations. Everything's just going to crap.
Yeah.
And we can actually, that muscle memory will kick in and the things that we've spent so much time developing and anchoring to, goes back to the house on the rock or on the sand.
I was thinking the same. It's the Beatitudes again.
Because it is coming. When the storms come, it's not if, it's when.
Yep.
When we're anchored, we're good. But that strips away all the things, all the pretense that we've put around it.
Yeah.
Joash he had so many opportunities. And again, this is to be a mirror for me, is that, it's just like he had a moment of struggle, which wasn't a first time for sure in his life. And then to have Zechariah, like that would have been like, oh, this is the moment. Remember my adopted the dad who raised me. Like there should have been a trigger and a moment of having a prophetic declaration, hey, turn from these why are you doing this? And that could have been another trigger. Oh yeah, remember. And a moment of, again, of opportunity for repentance or change could have been a trigger, remember. And the thing that is again, the difficult mirror to look in is to go, this isn't a matter of just, I didn't even have a chance to remember. This is a moment of going, oh, I actively need to engage in the process of remembering. And that word, remember,
Guys in the car.
yeah.
Guys, it's the car.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah, no,
I
it's
love that.
the
Keep
beauty
going,
of
sorry.
that. It's not just a like light bulb cartoon moment, light bulb above your head. It's a remembering that leads to action. And this is a character trait that we see of God. He continually remembers, and there's action, and that is something that we are called to do as we remember, to be spurred on to action.
Yep. I like it.
What a skill set.
Because Joash did not Zechariah.
Boom. Yeah. I love it. This on Tuesday this week, I had a moment on my calendar that said real good feet. And so at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, it said real good feet. And so I had no idea. I actually went up to Kelsey and I said, do you have any idea what this could be? She had no idea. This is as dumb as it gets. I said, like in AI, I said, how could put that phrase in and said, is there autocorrect? Could this be something else from autocorrect? And no.
No.
And so that evening, after I missed the Real Good Feet appointment, I got home and then I realized that our kitchen chairs are actually, the name of the chair is Real Good Chair. And two of them I had to, the black plastic slides, the feet were broken, and the Blue Dot store is open till 3. And so I literally put real good feet on my calendars to remember to go to get 2 feet from the Blue Dot store. But those moments when your brain is broken and you just go, real good feet, 2 o'clock, real good feet. And
Wait a second.
and so just that parable in my life is to just go, like, I can have very clear direction, like, remember who God is, remember his faithfulness, remember his love, remember his grace, remember he's entrusted you, try to be trusted, all those things. I can see it on my calendar and it's like verbatim there, and I can just go,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I've never
And
done. I'm just kidding.
and so like if there would be a snap awake moment communally, is for us as the body of Christ, is to the things that we're called to remember, that all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, I get it, and walk in it.
I love it.
Cool. It's fun. We miss you, Greg and Rich and everybody, but this was fun. Great to
It's
talk.
good.